Today's episode is brought to you by Hidden House Coffee. Go check out their locations here in Orange County, California, or get some coffee delivered to your house at hiddenhousecoffee.com. Welcome back to the Good Dude, Good Dad podcast. I'm Jordan.
And I am Ben.
And today we have a special guest with us, Justin Magz over here. Justin started following us when we first got started, and he reached out to me and was telling me a little bit about his story and how involved his sons are with his businesses. And then I started looking him up, and this dude is one bad man. And so I told him early on, I was like, hey, man, we're going to have you on, but let me kind of get some stuff set up first. And now we finally connected, and we're having you on, and excited to have you.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah, appreciate you guys, reaching out. And like I said earlier, I really appreciate guys talk about their kids and their families. I'm very involved. Like I said, I'm very involved in my kids' lives. And when I see material for fatherhood, I cling towards it. It's a team. It's like a locker room. And that's, I think I miss the most about playing ball is it's the locker room vibes.
Yeah.
Where you can open up and you can be who you want to be, and you can tell people that either have the same stories, upbringing, or even type of styles of fatherhood, I guess you can say. So I really cling towards that a lot.
Yeah, and we appreciate you saying that, and it's the little, for lack of better terms, not recognition, but the little encouragements and the support. You played professional sports, but just those little things sometimes is enough to keep you let's do it, because Jordan and I are doing this obviously out of a passion project, but since the passion kind of wore off, we've genuinely have seen a need, right? And there's a lot of cool guys and dads out there doing these style things, but I feel like so far we kind of have a very unique platform, and we want to keep that going, right? We don't want to shelter these stories. We want people to come on here and share, who they are, how they got to where they're at, what good tips they have, or maybe things to avoid, because not everything's freaking, glamorous, obviously. But again, just thank you for coming out. Please give listeners a little background about yourself.
Well, it's kind of a little long story, but I'll keep it short. Matter of fact, I was actually talking to a vice principal at a high school yesterday, and she was like, "Yeah, you got 20 minutes to talk. Can you give me a little background?" I'm like, "Okay, where do I start?" But I started fatherhood being very, very young. I was a teenager, and then through the blessings of God, I had a very good support system to, be involved still and help me to continue playing sports and get my education, and but upbringing with the little one, that's the hardest thing too, because you got to multitask your own life and another life that you were blessed to have. So other than that, from high school I went to junior college I went to two-year university, and then I got hurt, rehabilitated myself again, and to get to a good role model, had a workout, and ended up playing pro ball for a couple of years. And then when I retired, because my little one was my oldest now, he was like, "So what are we doing after this?" I'm like, "I'm not sure." Why? Because I need to know where the nearest hospital is, because you're always hurt. And so I was like, all right, I think it's time for me to just hang him up. You know? So I hung him up in 2009.
Where were you playing at?
The Chargers back then.
Okay.
When we were San Diego. Yeah. Then I played a little arena ball too as well. So if you've ever seen arena ball, it's basically a hockey ring.
Yeah.
And that wall is very unforgiving, So got to play in Spokane, Washington, and tried out a couple of times. The places, it just is not for everyone.
Yeah.
It's not. And I'm very fortunate enough to get these opportunities, especially, being Hispanic and coming from a city like East Los Angeles. You just don't get those many opportunities. Either you go to school and you go to work. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Or my dad, bless that man, and even my grandfather were going you're playing sports. That's it. You're there's the number one rule in our household still to this day. You play sports, I'll take care of everything else. I need you to focus. And it's pretty much that's what my pops did. Stuff like that. And then went to grad school, got to coach at the Division I level for a little bit, and then went to the NFL coaching there for a couple clubs, and then came back home, traveling around, and then eventually the point where I started coaching at junior colleges. I got to coach in the NFL again, and then my last position was at a high school, honestly, and everyone goes, you went from a big-time league to a high school? And it's like, hey, I left these organizations to be a dad. So I was at Pasadena City College for 2 seasons, and I loved it there. And God bless Robert Tucker. That's the man who brought me on board, and I was basically not spending time at home. When your little one, because I have a 5-year-old now, was kind of avoiding you and running away from you, something's wrong. So I'm telling his mother, I'm like, hey, what's going on? It's like, he just doesn't know you, like he's afraid of you. And so like, okay, it's time to make a change. So I left. I just kind of was like, I left and thanked them for everything. And then that coach, the high school coach, his dad coached me, and I've coached with him many years before. And he goes, I want you here. So like, I only want you here from this time to this time. Spend more time with the kids. Yeah. So and I've been there for 2 years. So now after contracts ended up, new coaching staff, they just decided not to keep me on board. And so now I'm just getting a little more free time to spend with the baby and the oldest one and whatever I can.
Yeah.
So really, really fully involved in what my kids do. And so now to make those decisions, like literally saying like, no, that's not going to work for me. Like I got to spend time with my boys,
Yeah.
I not many people, can do that and say, I'm going to just hang it up.
Yeah.
Because we all have to pay bills and we all have to do what we got to do to provide. But more importantly, you can't get paid to be a father.
Yeah.
Just the love, that's your ultimate pay.
Yeah.
So then that's pretty much it. So, I mean, now Damien was like 5. Yeah. So 17 years now I've had my business. So 17 years I created the Creatin Monsters. Damien made the name. That's awesome. And we were just actually working out with someone else, and like Damien was like, Dad, you're Creatin Monsters. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna keep that right there.
Yeah.
Trademark, hashtag. And we trademarked it, and then his mom and I just started our garage for 6 years, and I was the garage guy. I started with only $400 in my account. His mom, God bless her, loaned me the money. So it's kind of like having a girlfriend loan you $400. It was a big thing. And so we got what we could, and then eventually we grew out of that garage and into like another like little facility and renting places out there. And then people were like, hey, I want you in my facility. So we went to another facility, growing there. Yeah. So every time we were moving somewhere, we were growing until eventually the point where our first building, that was back in, I want to say 2014. Yeah, 2014. That was our very, very first building. And that's my baby. That one will never go away.
Yeah.
So same thing, landlords. I mean, we all know landlords don't like your business, or they want a new contract or whatnot. And then, I just kind of end that one. And then I went into another place that was closing down, so I kind of saved that one.
Yeah. And
then same thing, COVID happened. So we were doing the whole like close doors, make sure no one's around. Like we were at the point where we had kids telling us, hey, just knock on like 3 times and 2, like it was a code.
Yeah.
And that's the only way we had let people in our facility. So we did that during COVID. And then after COVID happened, they sold that building. We were looking back for another building. And then I did it on my garage, went back to the garage in the house I live in now in Glendora. And then we did that for a little bit. Neighbors were cool. And then one neighbor, we have a Karen, so calling the cops like once a week, and then where the police officers like going like, you're not making noise. Like honestly, he likes just to do what he wants to do, right?
Yeah. And
then we found our building, so going on 3 years into the building that we're at now in Diamond Bar, and it's been a roller coaster on that one now. So, but yeah, 22 years I've been doing this. So March 28th will be 22 years. Dang. And then January 12th, I'm sorry. That's a different date. January 12th was 17 years I've had the business now.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've been around for a while. I'm the old man in the industry.
Yeah. Should have put those sheriffs through a workout. That way, when they call, be like, "Dude, bro, we're already here.
Yeah.
We're getting sweating."
It was the point where it was the same. It's like Glendora is a very good community. It's like it's a place where everyone just grows up and grows old. They don't move out of it. So we kind of like when we moved into there, we understood what the whole concept of the city was.
Mm-hmm.
And so into that aspect there, we knew everyone around the area. And everyone knew who I was around the area because I would go to every house and introduce myself, because more importantly, you're trying to keep peace in the neighborhood, right? So when I literally say, hey, I'm going to do this for a little bit within these time frames, are you cool with it? I'm trying so hard not to make some noise. And they were like, yeah, that's cool, and I think I did that too when I was in the garage where we had so much support from the neighborhood. I mean, we used to have people go outside, put their lawn chairs out and watch us just work, and there was a point too, we had a guy that used to like rev his car, drive down fast. And I told him, hey, I'm going to have these kids sprint. You can race them. I go, if you beat them to the stop sign, I'll buy you a coffee or whatever you want. And this kid was cool. He's like, all right, cool, bet. So like he would take off. I had my kids take off. So they were just trying to race each other. I mean, everyone goes, hey, that's how you got faster. I'm like, yeah, pretty much, So it was a cool little concept I had. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I mean, I went to school for this stuff, but I didn't know how to run a business. I didn't know how to market. I didn't know how to do anything. All I knew is I knew how to train.
Yeah.
So even the point where I go back to my $100 story, we were doing so well. We were doing really, really well. I mean, I think we were making about, at the time, like $8,000 a month, and I don't want to brag about money about that, but it was like we were doing really, really well. But all of our kids, we weren't so focused on marketing. We were so focused on the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And my ex-wife was like, who's coming in the next month? I'm like, well, he's going there, going there. Like all the kids are going back to school. So I remember it was August 1st. We had one more month with them. September 1st came in. And we're like, damn, hey, we got to pay rent, do all that stuff. I have $100 left in my pocket. I'm like, shit, we only got $100 left in the account. So we literally had no money after 1 month because paying bills. So we had to move back home with my mom. We had to do a bunch of stuff there. And I've said in previous podcasts too, it's just like when you're so used to being independent, you have your own family, you got to go back into a household and live by their rules or stuff like that. It makes you roll your eyes a lot, just going like, damn, what did I do?
Yeah. Well, before we leave that topic, I think that there's actually some very good and valuable resources in that. It's like when you had that $100 and you had to go back, like how old was your son at that point?
So I would say maybe he's like 9.
9. So for you as like a man, as a provider, and you have a 9-year-old son that's obviously probably admiring everything you do and looking up to you, what were some things that you were able to do for yourself and for your family to show like, hey, like this is okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think it's just more the word, like even with just being a young dad, just learn to hustle.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. That's the one word that I still live by this day, 22 years later, is hustle. Hustle. Everyone's like, when do you ever take a break? I'm like, when I die, really, because if I lose that mentality or at least lose that motivation to provide, it's like an accomplished game, and I don't like losing.
Yeah.
I've been and I actually just said this the other day. It's like been very successful as a player. In high school, we lost very, very few games, not very much. Junior college, we were only, I think 2 years I was there, I've only lost maybe a total of 3 games.
Dang.
And then when I went to my university, we only lost 4 games in 2 years. So I was a very successful player. I was an All-American too as well, and so it was a point where I didn't know how to lose. And then now when I finally failure, I'm like, I don't like this feeling.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lose feeling. I mean, even the point where still to this day, I mean, where's that? I still have my $100 in here.
Oh,
I
that's
keep it.
dope.
I keep it in here just a motivation, saying I'm not gonna lose. I don't want to lose. And same thing too. My kids, they know that dad doesn't lose. So like, for me to show struggle, I want them to see me struggle. I really do. I really want my boys to see me struggle, but then I want them to see me work my butt off, to saying like, Dad didn't quit.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what I want the most. But I mean, my little one, he still doesn't know. He's still little.
Yeah.
But like my oldest one, when he was playing high school ball, even the point where going to school, I go, you're gonna fail. He's like, you're not gonna experience what I had done over the years. He's like, you're gonna make your own story. Really, what story are you gonna make yourself? And he's like, you're not gonna like the answers you're gonna want to get, or you're not gonna want to hear those right answers.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, once you start something, you better finish it. I mean, that's our ultimate rule. Is like, you do not quit. I don't care if grandma, grandpa, or mom say it's okay to stop. No, because I'm not quitting.
Yeah.
What gives you a reason to quit? You're not living through my dreams or my lifestyle. It's like, you got to make your own story. You're not going to live off my clout whatsoever. Now, everyone knows you. So guess what? That's a bigger target on your back. But the most important thing is that you got to be happy. So I try to show up, even though I may have all my struggles now, but I try to come home and make sure I'm happy to see my kids. And that's the ultimate thing, even if I'm pissed off, depressed, whatever the case would be.
Yeah. Jordan and I have talked about that on numerous episodes. And I think, again, there's so much value in that concept of, a lot of people in today's world be like, yeah, I'm present, or they work from home, right? Yeah, I'm home with the kids. There's a difference between, being genuinely present and leaving your crap at the door, right? And I love that you just said that, because, dude, I constantly catch myself wanting to sometimes just be like, I had a day, right? Like, being a business owner, I have over 50 employees that rely on me, all these things, right? All these outside things. And if I can give that my attention, my undivided attention, but then the second I get home, that doesn't give me the right to be like, oh,
yeah.
I mean, obviously, is there days it happens? Yes, for sure, right? No one's perfect. But I love that you said that, your kids will see you as like happy or not giving up. You want them to see those struggles, and you want them to understand that, like, hey, none of us have it all figured out 100% of the time, but it's what we do with that. And it's a reminder to me all the time, man, is like, and I have an amazing wife who is, at the times where I've needed that kick in the butt, she, she'll call me out in like the most awesome way, where she'll be like, hey, you had time for all these other people. You went to jiu-jitsu, you did all these things, but now you're tired and you can't be with your kids. And I was like, oh, you're right. And I think those are those moments that hold so much value.
Yeah, I think it's what you're saying, right? The hustle doesn't stop, but I just think a lot of people get caught up thinking that the hustle stops at the front door, like it's like, business. Yeah, you got to hustle. Everyone knows business. You got to hustle. You got to get your workout in. Got to set your routines. Got all that. And then it's like, when it comes time for your kids, it's like, well, then the hustle stops. Like, 100%. No, it's just a different kind. And it's not. It's taking that same tenacity mindset that you bring into business, that you bring into, being the best version of yourself. You just now take that and you twist it and you put it into your kids, because you're teaching them like, hey, not only do you give your best to work, but you also give your best to your family, and we've talked about it before. There's times in life where there's balance and you're going to get out of balance and you're going to get back, and, you're just finding your balance is, a lot what you've talked about is like, hey, the balance that makes you, but it's hustle doesn't stop at the door. And I think that's a big misunderstanding for a lot of people.
Yeah. I think most importantly, we assume that we have it all figured out when our kids are born. Parenthood is literally a sport that has no playbook.
This is so true.
I mean, I can still remember all my plays from back when I started playing ball to when I ended playing ball. Even coaching ball, I can tell you plays and tell you scenarios. I mean, it's funny, like when you have former teammates and go, hey, remember that one time we go, yeah, we called this play, da 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 da, and like our partners are going like, how the hell do you still remember that? Because it was just constant memory. But like when you come as a father, like you're going like, crap, what do I do now? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, the playbook for the oldest one did really well. Now I'm doing with this little one. I'm going like, shoot, that didn't work. You know, like the little one's got some spice into him. You know, that dude is he's my little like spark. You know, and my oldest one is so chill. He's so chill. Like I used to say, when he was little, you put him in the corner, bunch of toys, he'll stay there. And he grew up in the gym, you know. So, and now little one too as well. But this dude will grab a sled. He'll grab something. He'll play with his uncles. We call them uncles or aunts. You know, the college or pro kids, and he'll do stuff with them. And he'll bring his dinosaurs with him everywhere. You know, he's a big dinosaur guy, big dinosaur guy, and I think we have over like 50 elephants. So I swear I got Jungle Book in my whole entire house. You know, so, but you know, overall, like sometimes I assume like I know it all.
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh,
I
man.
don't. Like I literally walk in and going, okay, what's today? You're like, what do I got to do today? You know, and it's been probably the best thing in the world, best job ever in the world to have is being a pops.
Yeah.
You know,
I've told this story like a few times over the last couple months, but like my daughter, you know, like same thing. My oldest, super mellow, super chill. My middle one, everyone knows she gives me a run for my money, but like
She's intense.
dude, we were like, we were like timeouts. We were trying everything. And I remember like, it was around Christmas and I was like, we got the Santa thing. So I'm going to do I was like, hey, you know, if you don't keep acting right, you're going to end up on Santa's naughty list. And she looked at me, she goes, good. I like the naughty list. And I just like, at that moment, I sat there and I was like, there's no freaking parenting book that has the response to this. Yeah. And I was like, we've tried everything. And I just, in that moment, I was like mad, but like proud, but like confused. I just gave her a hug. And I was like, I love you. And I like gave her a big kiss. I was like, you're a sweet, kind, amazing young woman. Let's just make sure we act like it, you know? Yeah. And I like walked out of the room and I was like, what the crap am I supposed to do now? Like, I'm out of moves.
Yeah. You're just kind of going like, all right, wait for the response. Like, you know, kind of go like, all right, I went through that one and like, okay, that one didn't work. That one didn't work. It's like, crap. Okay, what am I going to do next? You know? Serious. So like, trust me, I still do that, you know? So like the little one, my oldest one, he's out and about, you know, he's cool now, you know, dad, you know, when we have our time, we have our time, and he's got a girlfriend now, you know, and I know he loves her a lot. So I mean, that could be my future daughter-in-law. So I'm gonna accept it.
Yeah.
Know? But who knows? So like I'm getting to. He actually mentioned this a while back. And this was when he was little, or Jace was actually just maybe like 2 years old. I mean, Jay's 5 now. So, and Jace was acting like a certain way, just like a little baby would, 2 years old.
Yeah.
And I soothed him. I was like being very sensitive towards him. And my oldest one goes like, yep, that was never me. He's like, you became soft, Dad. I was like, dude, like I grew up with you. It's like, so you saw me in my prime as a player. And so like that mentality kicked in, you know, and the moment that I just let go, you know, that macho machismo type of scenario, you know, and now that your brother came in, I go, who's jealous now? You know, because my dad would get jealous because I do stuff with my son, where my dad used to do with me. Yeah. And, you know, like, I love my grandfather, like, rest his soul, you know, but I know he didn't have that experience with him. And then with me, my dad did everything with me, you know, he wasn't a ball player. My dad was in a band, you know, and so music was our common interest or denominator. I was just saying, like, today, actually at work, someone goes, like, what music do you listen to? Like, well, your kids listen to it. Like, well, Damien loves Depeche Mode. Okay. You know? And that's my favorite band. Yeah. So he grew up listening to that, The Cure, like the 80s stuff, the Beatles, Frank Sinatra, because mom liked classical music, stuff like that. And then, what else did he like? Well, he liked rock. Yeah. Where Jay likes the old disco, Frank Sinatra, country, huge Beatles fan.
That's so crazy.
I'm going like, not hip hop, none of that. It's literally that stuff. So like even the point where every Friday, because that's my day, I take him to school. It's Chris Stapleton, White Horse, or the Beatles, Yellow Submarine. It's either be those two. And I go, I'd rather listen to this and then Mickey Mouse or or the water. What was that?
Baby Shark.
Baby Shark.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Baby Shark. I'd rather listen to that all day than run that stuff. But I'll still be around. And we'll listen to Jungle Book music too.
Yeah.
But like everyone goes, man, you're soft now. I'm like,
Dude.
yeah.
On my top Spotify list right now, it's I think it literally says, I got to look it up because my wife was playing music from my phone the other day and I went to my recent, and I was like, wait, what is this? Toddler rave.
Toddler rave.
Toddler rave.
And that's
Like, I kid you not, it literally says toddler rave. And I'm like, it's a lot of Trolls music.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, what is happening? Like, what is my life now? I got like the model health show, toddler rave, and then like a couple podcasts. I'm
Yeah.
like, what is this?
Yeah, it's funny. Like even like there's like everybody in, everybody out, move around, shake it all about. And I'm doing all that stuff with him, and my son goes, you can tilt his head. He goes, really, Dad? You? I go, hey man, there's a soft side of me. I go, your brother got it. I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah. What's shows the the evolvement of parenthood though, right? Like you yourself, no disrespect, but were like a kid when you were trying to parent, right?
Yeah.
I consider myself still, I mean, I was 30, so if I was still a kid, that'd be different. But I consider myself, as when we had our first kid, my daughter, compared to now, we have 3 now. And so I've grown so much as a parent, right?
Yeah, 100%.
As a father, as a partner to my wife. But my wife says it the same thing is, we were together for like 5, 6 years before we had our daughter. And she was like, she made you soft. And I was like, yeah, and I wouldn't take it back for a second, right? Like there's that little like iceberg that melted. She like chipped it away, just being this little infant that required me to love on you. And it was something like so cool.
Well, even too, like you guys have daughters. I don't know what it feels like to have daughters, and everyone goes, you should have a daughter because it will make you
Wrecked me.
Like it will literally break you.
It wrecked me.
So,
In the best way. I have 2 boys. I'm a little tougher on my boys now, even though they're young. Like they're 4 and 2.5. Like in the quote unquote tough, right? But I parent them way different than I parent my daughter. But ironically, also because she's my oldest, but I'm harder on my daughter than I am to the boys. But I'm more soft, I think, to her because you kind of cater to them, right?
Exactly.
But
I think part of it too is your capacity grows. Like when you have that your first kid, like, you don't know what you're doing. Like even if you think you know what you're doing, like I grew up around little kids. I was like, I know how to parent. Some of the ways that I reacted to things, like looking back at it now when we first had Hudson, my oldest, I'm like, what the heck was that? And like now, 3 kids deep, like my house is pure chaos. There's noise everywhere. Toys are getting thrown. There's food everywhere. And I'm like still able to do like function, like my normal, how I would normally function. And it's like, I remember like he would start crying when he was first born. I was like, like my brain would just shut off.
Yeah.
Or, and I feel like it's, your capacity grows. And as your capacity grows, your temperament changes. Cause like, there's definitely stuff now that like happens. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like it's all good, where before I would have probably overreacted.
Yeah. Or looking at a 2-year-old and be like, why are you doing that? What do you mean why? They're
freaking 2 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And we had a guest on, like one of our first guests. He's also a good buddy of ours, but he said, like going back to your playbook, he literally goes, man, I'm a new dad every single day because something new comes up, and that has stuck with me. He's like a good friend of mine, and he's a fantastic father, but I've gotten to know him a lot more since that podcast because our daughters go to school together now. And there's times where I'm like, oh, shoot, we have 3 kids. I've done this twice, but I'm looking at my youngest and he's got like that spice that you're talking to or about. And I'm like, what do I do? Like these other methods or these other plays or these other tricks and gadgets and gizmos worked for the other 2. But this dude's got the machismo, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
He freaking thinks you see him. He thinks he's 2.5 and he'll stand up to a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
That's why him and my daughter get along so well.
Dude, they do. They do.
funny.
But it's those things where it's like, I think we also have to remember, which sounds funny saying out loud, but we're all relatively the same age. We're all within a couple years. Like our parents, more often than not, were harder and actually disciplined compared to parents in today's world, right?
100%.
And to see like the tough love that I got from my dad, there's so many lessons in what I still remember to this day as growing up that he gave me that I'm now giving to my kids.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that we don't talk about as men and tough guys and all this stuff is like, it's okay to not know what we're doing. What's not okay is to just sit and like stand by and do nothing. But the way we adapt and pivot and overcome things is what is important. But I think that the takeaway is like, we got to give ourselves grace every single day. Right. And I didn't understand that until I had my kids.
Yeah. And I like the way you said pivot, like let's do a lot of the podcast pivot, because I have, Ryan Clark is, a good friend. So I listen to what he does. And then that's the one thing they say, like, what's your biggest pivot in life?
Yeah.
My biggest pivot is being a dad. I mean, that was like one thing that I really, really had to learn how to shift gears, and it's funny you said that. I just thought about it right now. It's like, I just went to a wrestling event. I was working, and it's for AEW. And my business partner, Bobby Flick, was telling me like, hey, hang out with this person, check out this person, and do meet this person, so on and so forth. But when you meet a couple of people, just know that they're still an act. They don't know how to switch things off. And so one individual, he was like, dude, he's like, let you know he's a straight, you know what? He doesn't know how to turn things life off. But seeing my little one being around him and him just, you can tell it shift. And I'm going, man, that little boy's got a gift.
Yeah.
He knew how to do things. And like even the point where my pivot as a father into fatherhood was to learn how to shut things off from life, where I was so aggressive. I'm so demanding. Even the point where like my dad has so much patience with me. And that's why I give a lot of credit to him, because I knew I was very, very hard growing up, and my parents were split up. They divorced when I was 3. But my one thing, my dad was always involved. Always involved. Everything I did in sports, he was involved. He coached me, even though he didn't know what to do, but he coached me. He picked me up to go to practices. He worked day and night to provide for my gear, whatnot. And so I give a lot of credit to that man for what he did. And, even the point where he wasn't as aggressive than I am as a father. And he literally would get mad at me because I'm overly aggressive with my boys. It's because like I got raised by my grandfather too. So like I got that style from him, and even like my grandmother, and I give my credit to my mom too. Like my parents, I give all credit to everything they do. They're great grandparents. They're very, very good grandparents, But when mom and dad are working, you get to spend time with the grandparents. That's that's the way it was in Hispanic culture. You do that, and so I got that type of style, and so that style I brought into my children. My dad's like, "You're too hard on them." I go, "So?" I go, look how good I came out, and like you taught me patience. So like that's why I'm able to react a certain way towards my boys when they act up. Like I had patience for them. That's why my job is I'm so good at my job, because I have patience for certain things. Now, when you're an owner, you have to develop patience.
Yeah.
You can't expect anything, So I really master my craft for doing that. But like ultimately, when I'm a father, like I have to develop those things, because my kids will react how I'm doing, or at least they'll see how later on when they grow up, they'll act that same way too as well.
Yeah.
So even like every Saturday, I mentioned I play golf with my dad and my 2 cousins, and then I take my little boy with me, Jace. Jace plays golf with me, and so the point where now I'm teaching him patience.
Yeah.
I'm like, hold on, like I'm showing like this is how you swing the club, and he wants to swing up. No, patient. Look at the ball. lift it up, swing it, and he hits it out, right? So I'm like, dang, the kid listens. And, my dad's like, you will never done that with Damien. I go, I know. I don't know what it is with this little boy. Little boy taught me patience. I go, maybe golf has taught me patience too as well.
Yeah, well, you also just grew, right? And again, I think that's what life is, and that's what this podcast is, and our hope is that we constantly grow. Those a-holes or those arrogant types of people, those are the ones that, they get fixated or stuck in this, like, I'm better than everyone or I know more than everyone, and they don't grow, they don't adapt, they don't pivot. And I think those are it kind of clearly shows in personality traits, and obviously it shows too your background as an athlete, right? Like, there's probably times throughout your career where a coach had to tell you, hey, this is something that you need to stop doing, and you probably listened real quick, right? And it might have taken you whatever, a week, 2 weeks, a season to maybe adapt and change these things, but it shows like your growth. And I actually wanted to ask you, like, if this is kind of putting you on the spot, but if you were to take, I don't know, a couple attributes of what it took for you to become the player you were, what attributes do you think contributed to where you're at now in life as a father and as a business owner?
Good question. I really think it's just practicing. I mean, I was one of those players that just overachieved during practice, just because I want to be an overachiever on the field. And same thing with being a dad. You have to practice your craft. Whereas learning the little dance like we're doing there, or singing the songs that he likes, or playing with the toys that he wants. With both kids. Even like my oldest, for example, he literally goes, and this is a true story. Dad, do you coach anyone in lacrosse? No. Do you know anyone in lacrosse? No. Do you know any coaches in lacrosse? No. That's why I'm playing.
Oh, shoot.
Mind you, we're in a Hispanic culture.
Yeah.
Don't have much resources. And his mom goes, I found one in Pasadena. There was a lacrosse league, and he was like 10. And then goes, I go, what made you want to choose lacrosse? Because no one knows me.
Dang.
That's a 10-year-old saying that.
Yeah.
Now that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And like, even the point where he wanted to play football at the time, and it's like, hey, just to let you know, like, there's a name behind the back, dude. So they expect you to play the way how I played, and I don't want you to play like me. He's like, I want you to love the game. That game was what I grew up on, playing baseball too as well. Baseball, he didn't like it. He got hit once by a coach underhand pitch, and it was like the world ended for him, right? Basketball, too much running. Soccer, he put him at the goal. He just stood there. We tried all these sports for him to play, and like, I never told him like, no, you're gonna play football. No. He's like, I want to play this. All right, let's go for it. Like, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out what the finances will be. His mom and I were very poor. I mean, everyone goes, well, you play in the NFL, play in the league, you probably made some money. I go, yeah, we did, but agent fees, taxes, all that stuff, not managing your money correctly, you lose it all.
Yeah.
And having the wrong people in your circle. I mean, you don't experience this until you fail there. So we were very poor, So he chose that sport, and he was very good. And if he's watching this thing later on, he says he's a very good player. He was a very good player, and I give him a lot of credit for it. And I'm very hard on him, and so I'm very, very proud of him to choose that sport, because for once I was a dad. I was not a coach. I was not a person that knew Coach Magz and all that stuff. So like, we were just mom and dad. We were just like Justin and Crystal.
That's cool.
And that's my ex-wife's name, And then now, the baby, same thing. He's like, I want to play baseball. Okay, cool. Daddy, I want to play football like you play football. Okay, cool. So we'll play flag, And then, his mom's like, what's soccer? Let's go for it. What about lacrosse? Let's go for it. Like, I've never said no to my kids to what they want to do. I mean, like I said, my little one is very, very intelligent. Like, it's scary. Like, it's scary. I'm like, I got a little Sheldon in my household now, because my partner, one of my partners, Sean, he sent me like a little page yesterday saying like, you know, kids who are fantasized by dinosaurs are showing intelligence, right? Strong intelligence. And I'm going like, oh shit, I got a little Sheldon in my house, you know. But but he goes, yeah, but this one's got better sense of humor than that one, you know. So, but you know, overall, like my boys have been special to a point where they've made an impact in their community, you know, within the household, and just more important, just me being a better man. Of how I want them to be. You know, so like my oldest is a very good boy. Like I still call him a boy. Like, hey, you're a very good boy. He's still yes sir, no sir, opens the door, you know, can I grab that for you? You know, he's a very generous young man, you know, and an adult now. And now the baby too as well. Like, no, thank you, yes sir, no man. And I'm like, dude, like where'd you get that from? You say it. You know, like and young kids, and you know young kids don't lie. You know, and they'll just tell you the truth.
And they soak everything up.
Oh, dude. We had Caitlin the other day was like, hey, we need to watch ourselves. I was like, why? He's like, because we got home the other day and Hudson wanted to play teeter-totter with Harper. They're like pretending to play a teeter-totter. And Hudson's like, oh, no, Harper, you can't hop on that teeter-totter. Like, I'm a little too fat. And like, not even the day before we were all hanging out at the park. And I hopped on with him. And he like couldn't teeter-totter. I was like, sorry, bud, it's because I'm a little too fat right now.
That is funny.
And I was like, Caitlin's like, you need to watch yourself. I was like, dang, I do need to watch myself. Like, I mean, I already knew that, but you know, it just
kids are sponges, man. And I think people, if you're listening to this and you don't have kids and you don't get it, you're like, yeah, whatever. I never realized how intelligent they are. I know that sounds stupid, right? Because you just think a child. You're like, oh, they're a child.
They don't understand.
They're so stinking intelligent, so capable. They are literal little humans. And I would have never understood the weight of that until I had my daughter mimic something I did that wasn't the best thing. And I was like, oh no, like crap, you know? And I want to go back to your son. You said he's 22. It kind of gave me like little mini goosebumps when you said that, man, because I employ a lot of young people. And Jordan is in charge of a lot of young people. I'm trying to word this carefully. The younger generations as a whole, not as individuals, as a whole, don't have what you just described. Some do, right? But as a whole, they're freaking glued to a phone, an iPad, or some type of piece of technology that when they don't have it in their hand, it's like they're these damn zombies. And I see it all the time. People don't hold the door open, or they don't say thank you, or they don't look you in your eye. You know, at the coffee shops, hey, how can I help you? I want that. Well, or, you know, you say hi and they're like, oh, I want that. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, how's your day? Like, my eyes are up here, not in that phone that you're on. And so I think, you know, for you, man, it's some encouragement, not that you asked for it, but I think that shows what you've been able to accomplish as a parent. And I think it's something that to our generation, our parents and our grandparents is like, you better open the door for a lady. You better say please. You better say thank you. You better look me in the eye and shake my hand. But it's becoming more and more lost. And so when I hear things like that, it's a good thing. And that's awesome that you've been able to do that.
But plus too, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like we as older, you know, as men now, you know, we tend to go towards that generation still, like us being on the phone all the time and doing certain things. Sometimes we got to catch ourselves in that point where like, I've been caught a few times and been called out, and which is cool. Like he calls me out all the time, you know. But I think that you still have to parent no matter what. Like D could be doing something. I go not here, or even the point where he's like no, and like we say no, like no what, no sir, okay cool. You know, just like those little things here, just to recheck. I'm like, hey, you may be older, but guess what? I'm still your dad. You know, or even the point where him being around certain people, you know, he has to present himself. I tell this to parents all the time. Our kids are replicas of us, no matter what. So even the fact that I make sure I always praise my kids' moms.
That's cool.
No matter what. Whatever the difference between both of us is, whatever the life that we grew together and just didn't work, I never disrespected their mothers.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we did anything wrong to each other, I made sure that they knew that I still love their mothers. I respect them for their mothers because they're the one who gave the birth of my child.
Yeah.
So no matter what, I always make sure that. So they know already that dad respects my mom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even like the point where my oldest one, my oldest doesn't live with me. I go, whatever mom says, it flies. But still, remember, my rules still apply at home. So if you're acting a certain way, your mother's going to tell me.
Yeah.
If you disrespect someone in a certain way, your mother's going to tell me. And the point where if you act in a certain way, I'm going to check you because I know I didn't raise you like that for whatsoever. So, and I go, sadly, I'm like well known in the area. So everyone knows who you are. So if you act a certain way, guess what? I'm going to find out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was a couple of times where he'd gone out to parties and he didn't tell me. And people were sending me pictures like, hey, Damien's here, you know? And I go, oh, how was the party? How'd you know? I go, dude, you got a name behind your back, dude. Come on. You know, just, are you okay? Yeah. Just tell me. That's all you got to do is tell me. Because no matter what, something happens to you, I don't know where you're at. I don't know where to go.
Yeah.
You know, I can care less. Like, if you want to stay out till 1, 2 o'clock, you're a grown man, but you live under my house still.
Yeah.
So I live with mom. Doesn't matter. My rules still apply. And the moment that you live on your own, you're paying your own rent, your own mortgage, or whatever, your own bills, you can do exactly what you want. But until you move out of that house where your mom lives at, my rules still apply at your mother's house.
Yeah.
Because you have to give us that respect. No matter
100%.
what. Yeah.
With that, one of the questions we ask is, what to you do you think makes a good dude and a good dad?
I think the most important thing to be a good dude is to be, being a man of faith. And the only reason why I say this now because I was never like that.
Yeah.
And it just happened to just be 2 years ago I started doing that. I had a player that literally challenged me to go back to church.
Dang.
After the divorce, after grandparents passed away, I just lost complete faith. And plus, too, growing up in a hardcore Catholic family, it was. Oh yeah. It's kind of like you were forced to do something you just didn't cling to. Even when I was married, I was forced to go at the same church that I just didn't cling to me. I had no opinion on that one, so I just kind of never went. And so, I've been practicing still, to go back to church and do all the certain things, and now I go every Sunday, and right now we're doing Lent right now, so. Everyone goes, what you give up? So I didn't give up anything. And they go, well, that's not Lent. It's like, I'm actually going to do something that I've never done before, is read the Bible. So I read the Bible now, once, 40 days. And I'm going to try to continue to do something like that. So I think it is when you bring God or whoever we all believe in, into a household, that's a good dude because that's what God did to his son. He gave him challenges. He gave him sacrifices to take to be a better man, to show a good example of what a father should do for his son. So that's what I really think a good dude is. A good dude is showing a type of faith and bringing that faith into a household and just being kind, and it's like, you're a good dude. I'm like, thanks. It's like, I want to be treated the same way that I treat someone else.
Yeah.
I want to be a-hole, and I'm going to expect to be an a-hole, get a-hole reciprocation.
Yeah.
But I try to treat everyone the same, no matter what. I don't care what level you are, high school, college, professional. I'm going to treat you like my own boy. So, now, like I said, I call them kids because I am older than them. So I just call them like, I'm going to treat you like my kid.
Yeah.
There's no clients, So, and to be a good dad and obviously to be involved.
Yeah.
No matter what, even if it's just a stupid, little run-a-thon.
Yeah.
You be involved. Help find donations, or it's a Halloween day, we have a Halloween day for us. So during Halloween, we dress up, Like Jace wanted to be Dumbo this year. So, and then I was the rat. His mom was the mama elephant and stuff like that. And the year before that, we were Ghostbusters. Like, we get so involved in these things because we want I want my kids to know, like, dad did what I like to do.
Yeah.
Well,
I think going back to presence, right? And time, like your our undivided attention and pure time spent with our kids is better than any single gift we could give them, any dollar amount you could give them, any form of ice cream or sweets. Like the time that we give to them wholeheartedly in all of us is so much more valuable and more important to them than anything else, I think, in this space,
100%.
right?
100%.
But it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think being present, like you said too, I think it helps keep you young too. Like I remember my dad was, I think 32, 33 when he had me. So he was in his 40s, when I became a teenager. Everything that I did, my dad was a part of. I wanted to learn how to snowboard. My dad was a great skier, learned how to snowboard in his 40s, broke his tailbone trying to do a rail, I wanted to learn how to ride motorcycles. He rode motorcycles. I wanted to play hockey. My dad was a great football player and baseball player, learned how to play hockey, ended up playing like in an adult league. And, he was there, he was active, he was present. And that not only made an impact on me, but it made an impact on all my friends. And to your point, you said, I get talked to a lot by like my friends' kids, or my kids' friends' parents. Like that was my dad was the same way. Like other parents would come to him asking him things because he was there, and like that presence cannot be diminished or underappreciated, because when you're there all the time, you know what your kids are up to. You're instilling your values in them, because at the end of the day, like when we all pass away, what we made, dollar amounts, positions that we played, things that we accomplished, all that is going to get forgotten pretty quickly. But how you raised your kids can be passed down generationally. The things that you instill in them, and the attitude and the mindset and the love, you pass it on to your kids. They're most likely going to pass it on to their kids, who will then pass it on to their kids.
100%.
And you end up changing generations just by that. And that's part of the reason of this podcast is, more present fathers, more engaged fathers make better kids make more present, engaged dads down the road. And that makes, I think, a more present, engaged community. And
that's literally how my business has been ran. So like I said, I'm involved in so many different things, So I got Creatin Monsters. My kids are part owners of it. I'm part of a sports agency called Universal Elite Agency with Bobby Flick. Before I made any contracts, sign or anything, I got to make sure my kids are involved with this, because no matter what, it's their money. It's like if I don't make money, they don't eat. Stuff like that. And same thing with the Jordan brand, Jumpman. I mean, when I met with Jordan brand, like literally goes like, why should we choose you? And I had this whole entire thing set up, prepared for everything, right? And out of the blue, I go 23. They go, Michael Jordan's number? I go, yeah. And they go, what's wrong with that? That's my son's birthday, 23rd. So literally the point, you're going to represent me, you're going to represent a child.
Yeah.
And every other thing too, like the IFA, the International Football Alliance thing I'm taking part of there. And it's my kids are involved in everything because I want them to know that dad was always there. Even the point where if I pass away, guess what? They still get some stuff out of it, Yeah. And even like going back to this wrestling thing, for me to share the moment with my child and to see him like screaming, do different things and just being a kid, but like he's never seen a wrestling match.
Yeah.
But for him to engage because I'm screaming, he's screaming, and then, he got to see the different side of me, and I'm going like, that's probably one of the top 5 moments in my whole entire career. But, besides being a dad, seeing that, but like sharing moments, like, well, I took my son to 2 years ago. I said 2 years ago. Took my son to a first Depeche Mode concert. Cool. That was probably my top thing. Like, same thing, going to those events and going to Depeche Mode when I didn't even work. That was like a top thing because all the music that we listened to growing up, my son was singing it.
Yeah.
And then he saw a side of me like screaming like a little girl and doing all that stuff and getting around. And that's why I loved the most was having those experiences with my boys, because no matter what, whatever I'm doing, they're a part of. From coaching football or whatever sport I'm coaching, or even like playing ball, you know, they were always involved.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to miss these moments with them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of dads out there that don't get to experience those things. And you know what? Guess what? It's 1%. I just told this the other day. It's like there's literally only 1% of the population that make it to a professional level.
Dang.
1%. And for me to do these things now, that's 1% that non people get to do with their kids. You know, so I might as well just enjoy it now and let them experience. So like point when they do get older, it's like my dad took me everywhere. Even like the point now, like I got to take my oldest son to, you know, AFC championships. You know, even when I was coaching in the league, he's got to be on. I was like, dude, you're so lucky. You got to experience every locker room in the world. And he goes,
pretty cool.
From high school to college to pro, me as a player and me as a coach. You know, you've seen it all. You lived it all. You've been through it all. So like not many people get to do that, dude. You know?
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm glad I got to do that with you.
It's special.
Yeah.
It's stuff he'll talk about and hold on to. Like Jordan said, the passing things on generation to generation. But man, it was a pleasure getting to sit with you and talk with you. We know you're busy. We appreciate you coming out here.
No, thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
Jordan will make sure he links all of your info on there if anyone wants to, you know, say what's up to you or get trained by you. But just thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate it. You know, like I said, it takes a lot to do what you guys do, and obviously enough to have a platform for dads to just literally just let it out. I mean, it's so sad to say that, you know what, like mental health is being overcome for a lot of things, and that communications of this and having a central space for everyone, like, you know, just a dad central, you know, it's a big uplifting because that, you know, more importantly, not people know what we go through as fathers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and like there were things like we have everything set. Like we're not set.
Yeah.
we're not wired like we're wired differently, but still like we all have one thing in common. Like sometimes we need someone to talk to about our kids or our fatherhood, because maybe at the point where how you're raising your kids, I might want to take something like that. You know, we all share different experiences.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping to get out of this. You know, someone just to. I think I said this on the last time. I don't expect that, you know, every episode to hit everyone and be like, oh yeah, every time they're like, woo. But there might be something right when you need it, you know, that you can either plug into your own life, or when you're feeling discouraged, that you resonate with something that someone says, they've been there too, and this is how they overcame it.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point. But thank you again for coming out. What's the main way people can get a hold of you?
Probably the main ways like Instagram,
Okay.
CM_J Magz.
Okay.
I'm always on that damn thing.
And we'll tag it too.
Yeah, I'm gonna tag it on everything, but just in case someone's just listening. But
yeah, all content's on there too as well. So like you see all my work, and the one thing is like I think the common thing you'll see on that whole entire page is that I represent my kids, the players I work with. So you'll never see just me doing selfies or whatever like that. So I'm always representing the kids well, because obviously enough their work is my image, and then how I present myself is their image too as well. So I'm not looking for clout. I'm not looking for hoorahs. I just look for a good quality work. And same thing here too as a dad. You know, I really look for quality work to provide to be a good father. That's it.
that's awesome.
I love it.
Well, thank you guys. Ben, thanks for another great episode. Justin, thank you again.
Thank you guys again.
Remember, be a good dude, be a good dad.